Dos Equis, huh? You are the most interesting man in the world.
I am. Could be. Getting there.
I appreciate my bendy straw.
You should have seen the possibilities. I was looking at Amazon last week.
I bet you could have found something in the bachelorette department.
So we're live. I kind of want to start this off by just kind of giving a background of you and me, buddy.
Okay.
Like I said in the first episode, I'm from Cecil County. We got the flats up here. Do you recall the first time that we went fishing together?
I do.
Now,
Vividly.
Vividly?
Yeah.
I do too. So what I remember from that day, and I'll say this, we started at like 6 o'clock in the morning. It was a 6-hour trip. And me and my buddy Clay were standing in the parking lot, and I didn't know what to expect, okay? And I'm gonna admit some things here that are funny, which I think I may or may not have admitted to you before.
I can probably guess those.
Yeah. So I moved here, I guess, 3 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, and with the thoughts that stripers are not a migratory fish, that they hang out in the deepest hole, that you have to use live herring or live bait, not herring, spot or whatever, and that lures were not a thing around here. So this didn't work well for me from the start. We caught a couple fish here and there. Me and my dad went out and we caught one in like June, and I'm like, awesome, I'm on him. Found the spot, marked the GPS, we're good to go.
Yep.
And that was the only fish I caught like that month. And I fish every day, that.
Right.
And most people that know me know that I fish every day.
Yep.
So I go on Facebook and I call one captain. It's not you. I guess one of these bigger boats, and I give him the whole spiel, and I mentioned that I had a boat, and he's like, wait a second. Why do you want to fish with me if you have a boat? And I was like, it's a big power boat. And I don't have a big power boat. I had a fishing boat. So, and then I call you, okay? And you're the nicest guy in the world off the start. You're telling me the truth. There's a chance of getting fish out here, Matt. You're like, if we have a bad striper day, the bycatch is awesome. I remember this conversation vividly because that fishing trip changed my life. Seriously, dude. And I'll explain. So I call you. You're a very genuine dude. I call my buddy Clay and my dad, and I'm like, guys, I'm gonna talk you into a fishing trip that I can get my boat to. And they're like, why? I'm like, because nothing's working here, dude. Nothing's working. So we meet you at 6 o'clock in the morning over at one of the ramps around here, and I'm like, this 25-year-old kid, and I'm not trying to flatter you. It was dark out. I'm like, this 25-year-old kid, if he outfishes me, it's gonna drive me crazy. So we go out for like I don't know, maybe an hour. It's kind of slow. You pull out your binoculars, and I get the famous holy shit from Brad. And then I got to see what the Parker could do with the Zook on the back, and I'm like, this is way cooler than my 150 Merc on my 23-foot boat. And then literally, how many stripers did we catch that day?
It was a lot. I mean, it was a lot. I mean,
yeah.
You could literally every cast.
Talk about a humbling trip for somebody who spent a year up here catching 5-6 fish in the summer, not knowing anything, to going out one time with you and catching close to 100 fish. Now that's where I that day is where my disease was discovered with me. It was all downhill or uphill from there, depending on which way you look at things. I got a lot of respect for you that day, and not knowing what else you did, I thought that was just, I thought you were just a striper guy who charted in the flats.
Right.
Then I learned more, because I remember texting you and going like, hey man, I'm texting you in June, like, hey, I found a cool spot over here. You're like, that's cool. Like, dude, you're nowhere near here in June. No, but dude, you were such a genuine guy that day. And I do remember, right in the middle of things, I'm looking over and you're just smiling ear to ear, and I'm going like, do you see this every day? And you're like, no, dude, this is special here.
So let me elaborate on that, because I went 3 days in a row. I took you guys. The very next day, my wife and I went out there. It was super foggy. It was flat calm, but we literally could not go more than 6 miles an hour all the way to where we were.
From being rough or fog?
Fog.
Okay, so
we couldn't see 50 yards in front of us. So we get to where we were. We caught a few quality fish. Nothing spectacular like you and I had simply the day before.
Yeah.
I went again with a charter. It was Aaron Weiner, his girlfriend at the time, and somebody else.
I met Aaron, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We caught one fish that day. So in a matter of 72 hours, it went to like just fire to they disappeared.
Yeah.
And they didn't disappear. They just have other places.
They move.
They move.
Yeah.
And if there's a weather change or something, it doesn't take much, but you got the really, really good day.
Yeah. Well,
to kind of spoil you.
Not to mention, I've been fishing enough to probably pay for half your boat since between now and then. And we've had some incredible days. And that day was not the best day of fishing we've had. Mm-mm. That was a unique experience that day.
It's good for up here.
Yeah, exactly. If you put it in context with up here, or in context of really anywhere in the bay, doing the same drift for 6 hours and catching on every cast, that was a cool day. And it was eye opening to me, man. That's I thank you for the addiction, and I'm sure my wife hates you for it. but it was eye opening, and that's when I got kind of crazy about fishing and kind of dug in from there.
Well, when you I remember that day because you got on the boat, and I could tell there was some cynicism. There was like, what's really going to happen today? And
yeah,
I won't lie. I was like, God, this guy's like he's kind of on edge. I had this negative vibe. It's like, he doesn't think anything's going to happen. And I was worried because you just never know. I don't like disappointing people, but it ended up being like, holy cow. It was special.
Yeah. I'll dig. We'll come back to this story later because there's other questions I have about that story. I guess one more thing I want to touch on is the hamburger you had. I got a funny story from the day, and this just describes my personality. This podcast is going to be about you, but I want to start off with a couple things because this is the relationship we have, and it kind of helps people understand it.
Yep.
So for those of you who don't know Brad, he's a very picky person. When it comes to food, and God bless your wife, I don't understand how she does it. Whatever. You just gotta know Brad, the way Brad does things. Crispy is one thing, but in my crazy head, it's just a war every single day. Mm-hmm. It's just these little battles. Today's battle was crispy bacon. Okay, so and all day I'm driving. I'm thinking about the podcast, what we're going to talk about, and I have a little battle in my head. I'm like, how am I going to bring or get my statement across to the people at the restaurant that crispy bacon is mandatory? and I was like, let me ask you this question. And I do this at work all the time with customers just because it makes things easier. Do you ever tell little white lies just to circumvent telling a huge long story that just doesn't need to be told? It doesn't hurt anybody. Sure. But it gets the point across.
Exactly. Okay,
that's what I did with I crispy baconed it today.
Okay.
I called him and I said, there's no way my kid will eat this hamburger today unless this bacon is crispy. Now, for those of you who don't know me, I don't have a kid.
No, you don't.
But the bacon was crispy. Yeah. So
I go to every restaurant, and Lisa's my stepdaughter, Emily, is a server, and we go to her restaurant once in a while, and she goes, I know, crispy bacon. Because they screw it up. I'm not going to eat bacon that has the fat on it that's not cooked. I mean, it's common sense.
Well, a lot of restaurants put in the oven and maybe not long enough.
Just give me the crisp. That's all I care
well, a lot of places half cook things too, and then fully cook them after. So
if I don't trust the restaurant, I'll have them put it on the side, and I'll put it on myself because I know it's going to be crispy.
All right. So I just want to give you guys some background to mine and Brad's crazy, weird fishing relationship. What I really want to dig into and what this podcast is all about to me, because I'm an aspiring captain. I'm studying right now, and I'm trying to get out there and be just like you when I grow up.
God.
No, I know. I mean, you guys, or you and some of the other captains out there, you guys are really inspirational. What you guys are doing for the bay and the fishery. Without getting too political, I told you I was a bait guy before I met you, and I was a keeper too. I kept my fish until I saw there's a different way to do things. And I think like what you and Jamie and Pete and all these guys are doing, it's huge for the bay. Education is huge, and that's what's going to change things. But what I really want to get into is to start is kind of your captain story. And we don't have to go from baby Brad, but it's a fairly new story. But I do have a lot of questions here. So start where you think you can start.
So
Let's start with this. Golf is over.
Golf was a good chapter, but you know, I had kids, and kids went from, you know, non-mobile creatures where I could play golf for 6-7 hours at a day and practice and stay at a certain level, and then
Were you taking them with you golfing?
sometimes they go to the range with me. There's a cool story Thomas and Charlie like telling where they went to the range with me one day at Pine Ridge, and they started picking up buckets for people, and they got dollar tips for picking up people's buckets and taking it back for them, and they thought that was the best. It's a great childhood story. So, but no, I mean it probably started kind of getting solidified when Lisa and I bought a 91 Mako 231 that found it in Michigan, had it shipped down sight unseen.
What are the conversations before the Makos bought? like what?
It's like, hey babe, let's buy a boat.
You're just sitting at the dinner table and your Brad is on his phone.
I do things sometimes very impromptu. Spur of the moment.
Before that, I mean, when's the last time you fished? Yeah, seriously.
I'd already. But I mean, I had a boat. We had jet skis. You know,
okay.
We were always doing something, but we wanted to sell the jet skis and get this Mako. Ended up being a really big project. Repowered it, did a all new wiring, plumbing, everything. You know, it was a big project. Loved it. What I go back to is taking Lisa fishing, taking my kids fishing. It's a natural high, especially for my kids.
You're telling me, dude. I'm.
Yeah, well, it comes. A lot of it comes down to the Thomas and Charlie. It allowed me to spend a significant amount of time with them. I lost my dad when I was 12. I did not have this time in my life that I get to have in their lives now. So I thrive on quality time with them. So whenever I get it, it's magnified. So when I could see them having all this fun out in the water, going fishing, just being out there, period. But the excitement in their faces, it's addicting. It was addicting for me. And I was like, maybe this could be done for other people. Do
you remember a specific trip when things just like clicked with the kids?
No, not really.
No.
I mean, Charlie's a diehard. Thomas likes to go when it's sort of warm.
Yeah.
But and they both have some really good experience under their belt. And then my oldest, Lisa's son, my stepson Mark, he goes with us when it's warm as well. He's not a cold weather guy.
They're normal people. They're just not crazy.
He's had fun fishing with me and Lisa, and it's just I don't know, it's addicting. So then you transition that to taking strangers out. What I did with guiding is I replaced golf at a very high level with taking people out for money. And it feels like an individual tournament on a regular basis. When people jump on the boat that I have no idea and they want to hand me money to go take them to catch a fish, there is significant pressure. It's very similar to standing over a 3-foot putt on the 18th green to make...
you said it's similar or different?
It's very similar. The same kind of pressure that you have to make this putt to make a certain amount of money to pay the bill that week.
Yeah.
But I like that. It's a competition with myself. You know, I can only blame myself. I can't sit there and you can't blame the elements or this or that. I mean, you got to roll with the punches. So
there's probably something psychologically to that.
There is,
and with all fishermen, it's just.
I just love the competition of it. That I can, the challenge of it. I like that pressure. It's just a lot of fun. I mean, I literally, I tell people that on a regular basis that I replace golf with guiding to a degree. But it is it's a similar,
like you said, that struggle and that need to get better.
Yeah.
I mean, because I was obsessed with golf for a couple summers too, and I remember going home after missing one stroke to.
Oh yeah.
That's all it takes. Same thing with fishing though. Should I have gone here? Should I have gone there? Would that have made the better day? Same thing with golf, and it drives you crazy.
It does. You have a decision every day. You go out there. Do I turn left? Do I turn right? and some days you get it right, and it's like really, really stupid good, and other days it can be mediocre, and some days I've fallen flat on my face, and it's just the nature of the beast. But that was a big thing of it. It started with the kids and family and friends, and it's like, God, this is a lot of fun. It's just a natural high to help someone or see someone and help someone catch something that they've never caught before, or they have achieved a goal of a certain size of a certain species and be like, bucket list or whatever. It's fulfilling is all I can say.
So when was your first charter ish?
It was August of 18.
August of 18. So leading up to August of 18 in preparation, what were you doing?
Lisa and I going out and fishing and
just hitting it hard and learning just everything you could for yourself.
Yeah. And I'll be the first to say, and everybody asked me, I didn't learn it all on my own. I had help. Yeah. I asked questions.
Were you going out with other captains?
No, not regularly. I've been out with Pete back in 2009. Yeah. That was down at the Bay Bridge.
That was the last time you went out with a captain?
On a light tackle, yeah. I think so.
It's impressive, dude.
Yeah, I mean, look, you get your own boat, and all we did was buy gas, and Lisa and I fished a ton together. We went, and you build your network, you talk to people, and you share information. And look, I'm not successful because I did it. I figured it all out. No one figures it all out. They talk to people. They have friends. It's a network. I mean, it's give and take. But I mean, I've had really, really good days where it's, I can pat myself on the back, and then I have other good days where I thank somebody for helping me out. I always give people, the credit that's due. That's kind of important. I can't take that credit some days.
Yeah. Well, I guess winning is having more good days than bad days, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the definition of winning.
Yep.
So I guess what goes into all that is your research, right? I mean, were you Googling stuff like?
I figured out.
You have to. Like, there's no way you, unless it's true, you stumbled across a lot of these species and how things work.
Yeah, I still Google stuff. I still go to Google Satellite.
Yeah, I know. I just mean like an intense amount of research beforehand.
Yeah. I mean, I always want to learn something new. Yeah. I mean, I would love to know every little intricacy of why fish go certain places at certain times of year. I mean, it's fascinating to me. It's just a wealth of knowledge that can turn your really mediocre days into great days if you have that in your vault, in your brain to say, okay, well maybe, it's this time of year, 2 years ago I had success at this place, and Google Photos is my logbook.
It drives me crazy thinking about what I was doing last year and this year because or even years past.
Yeah.
Because weather patterns are so crazy different. And, last year, daylight savings time, I killed it here in the flats. That was the first day I caught like 40 rockfish.
Dave McCullum texted me a picture today. He said 1 year ago today. And he was with me and Jimmy Lee, and he caught this big striper. And I'm like, it's a lot different this year than it was last year. There was no.
That's not the one he was on your boat.
He was on my boat. Yeah.
I remember that Facebook post when Dave McCullum says, "Let's go over here and troll this." Then you do it.
Yeah. Yeah. That guy's a fishy dude, man. He catches every day almost.
Yeah. He's definitely someone I've told you this that I want to hook up with on the water there.
Oh yeah. But every year is different. I mean, you can't go by the day. I mean, I hope that we can get 2 weeks, maybe a week, at least a week before March ends, because then you can't target stripers in April. I hope we can get some decent action up here. But
my feeling, because I'm hosting that tournament, my feeling and my fear is it's a week, if not 4 days.
Yeah,
because it's just
the water's still very cold right now.
Very cold. And do you know what the water's got to be? Was it 45? I really have no idea.
I don't either.
Last year it was just so warm. It just didn't get below 50.
I know. I think Alan likes it above 42.
Yeah.
He's kind of the mad scientist. He's got a lot of records.
We're at 42.
Well, I know the other day it was 39 in certain areas.
Yeah.
But a lot of snow melt still coming down too. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I guess my next question for you, if you're comfortable talking about it, and we can edit things out. A redfish and cobia.
Yeah,
you've kind of built yourself a niche here on redfish and cobia.
it's fun.
You told me a pretty cool story because I've asked you this question before. What started the redfish fever?
God. Redfish fever was in the Lisa and I had the Mako. Lord, I guess it was 2000. It was 2017.
Did you see somebody? Sorry, I don't mean to interject. First of all, I cut people off in real life all the time.
Yeah, that's fine.
And ideas come in pop in my head. I got to get them out so I forget them.
You don't forget them.
Yeah. Did you see somebody else catch a redfish and you're like, I got to do that, or like?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's social media, but I had friends in circles that were like, hey, so and so. You go out here, you can probably jig up a drum. I was like, I've never caught a redfish that big. I'd love to try, or what am I, how do I do it? Well, I got some intel, and by intel I mean ways to do it. Where you had to be, what you were looking for, and everything. And I guess it was summer of 17 or 18. It was summer of 17. Summer of 16 or 17. I don't know. We had the boat. Lisa and I launched out of Chesapeake Beach, and that particular summer, there were breakers, incessant breakers everywhere. We're talking football fields of blues and schoolie stripers and Spanish mackerel and everything. And
with reds mixed in?
Not mixed in per se, but this particular year, they would sit, and they still do this. They go to the bottom under these breakers, and they sit there, and they just get a lazy meal. They just pick at what's coming down through the water column, and they eat the scraps. I mean, they're... So it's like, all right, if you can tie a jig on with a plastic. I wasn't there yet. I had metal. I had crippled herrings, like 2, 3, 4 ounce crippled herrings that got down to the bottom real quick.
But is that like a diamond jig?
It's like yeah, to a degree. It's just crippled herring is this guy
like
George.
A flutter spoon almost.
Yeah. But I admittedly was outgunned. I had a largemouth bass.
Dude, you were always out. We're not outgunned.
No.
We pushed lines of being outgunned to make it fun.
I had a largemouth bass St. Croix and a Penn Fierce 3000 with 20-pound braid, and the line and the leader were fine. The drag power and the rod power were no match, and I hooked up. And I thought it was a ray at first. I didn't think I was going to be that lucky. And there was no mistaking. I mean, I saw this fish 7 times. Lisa saw the fish. I got my buddy Dave Hooker was out there who's trying to let me borrow his net because I had no net big enough.
Did you get it close to the boat at all?
Oh, yeah. But I ended up fighting this fish. It's a big joke. It's funny. I mean, I can laugh now, but I fought this fish for 4.5 hours. And the reason I did was because when I got to see the fish, the hook of the jig was dead square in the upper lip of this fish's mouth. So every time it turned and went nose down, it had a better angle on me than for me to turn it or anything. So it literally
you didn't have.
I could not.
Yeah.
And I've caught plenty of redfish, and I still to this day cannot believe that even with that light gear, I couldn't do anything. And I don't know how big it was. I can't guesstimate. It was big, but I don't know how big it was.
I mean, dude, if you would have asked me, sorry, I keep sitting away from the mic. If you would have asked me what my 42 was, dude, I would have said it was 60 inches. Like, because you don't know. In the water, they look crazy.
And so that day, that line broke, and I was at a point. Lisa fed me all the waters in the cooler. It was so hot, and I was out of waters. My back was broken, holding the rod. I bruised my pelvis from the butt of the rod, and I eventually got to a point where I thought maybe I'm just going to muscle this thing up here.
How many hours was it?
4.5. At the 4-hour mark, he was still taking bursts of line at 20 yards. Just I had the drag locked all the way down. It's just it's a great fish story.
You fought a fish for the length of a football game plus a quarter of overtime.
Plus commercials and the halftime show.
Yeah, it was like a Super Bowl, basically.
Yeah. And so the line broke. There was expletives yelled. The rod was
Not
thrown.
you?
The rod was thrown, and we went
In the water or in the boat?
No, it was in the boat.
Yeah.
And then the boat ride back to the ramp was very quiet. Lisa didn't say much. We really needed more water because we were both dehydrated, basically.
Yeah.
It's a great fish story, but then I realized I went back. I got bigger reels and bigger rods. And ended up catching quite a few reds later that year. One with my buddy Mike Bundy. One with several with Mike Dunlap. Helped him get one on the fly. Helped win a tournament. It was a learning experience. It was very valuable. But that's kind of how it
What's the
started.
biggest one that was ever caught on your boat?
I think you have it. I think you have
No,
it.
you got to give Dave credit too. Every time you say that.
I'm like, you and Dave have a 51.5 incher. My God. Yeah.
Credit to you though, man. I mean,
Yeah.
there's like an asterisk on 2020 fishing for me. It's like Brad caught that fish. I just reeled it in.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of where the addiction started. If I could chase them 24/7, 365, I would. They are spectacular.
They're incredible. I kind of took your word for it going down there. I mean, at first I'm like, this just looks like a big ocean carp to me. Mm-hmm. And then you hook into one. I mean, you saw my face, and on a 42 inch, I was sweating.
Yeah.
Screaming like with my Hulk mustache, like, yeah, I'm the best ever. It was nuts, man. And not only that, we got like a couple legendary days in last year. You know, that first trip. We talked about it in the last podcast. Mm-hmm. Just Sean had that look on his face, like, is this going to happen or?
Yeah, trust me, man. I feel it. I feel that first day that we went out and tried it. It was it was the right conditions. Just either you intercept them or you don't. And luckily, the second day we were rewarded. But it'll hook you in a heartbeat because it's such a natural rush of adrenaline and. It's the best.
What got the cobia started then?
The cobia didn't really start till Lisa and I went down. I mean, I had been cobia fishing with a couple buddies, actually with Tyler Nahn, Tidewater Charters.
You and Ty went?
I went with Dave Hooker and Mike Dunlap.
Did you go on his boat?
Morgan Cup. Yeah, I went on his Jones Brothers.
He grew up here.
He did. And we went out with him on a day that wasn't great. It was no fault of his. We saw big fish. There was at one time I was sitting in the tower with him and he sees these fish and he goes right there. And he describes one of the fish as it was as big as a 13-year-old swimming because it was huge and he threw the eel right in front of him and wouldn't eat. We caught some fish that day, but it wasn't epic. So by his standards. So that was a good start, and then Lisa and I went down in spring of 18 to Cape Charles
with the Mako or the Parker.
The Parker. Yeah, spring of 19, and I caught one
cobia.
Caught one cobia, sighted it, caught it, and then while she was in the bathroom, and then
like a rat or like a beast?
No, it was 39 inches.
She stayed in the bathroom the whole time.
No, it's a joke. She goes, if I go to the bathroom, watch, you'll catch a cobia.
Yeah,
and
that's what she said that day.
Yeah, that's a joke from that day.
Oh.
So we saw others, and I let her throw at them. It is a huge learning curve tossing a 1.5 2 ounce bait, leading fish that could be running what seems like 20 miles an hour.
And then turning back the opposite way in a heartbeat.
Yeah, so I let her throw to him. She has yet to catch one yet. It'll probably happen this year. That's a goal to get her one, to get Thomas one. But, I don't go down to Cape Charles very much. We went down a couple times. Yeah. But, what happened this late summer with cobia and finding this pattern in this area of the bay and just basically using electronics, that was I kind of stumbled upon that. I didn't know what I was doing until I kept doing
you were doing it
over and over again. Right.
You might have found something here. Say, because you're kind of like, I'm not going to say coin the cobia king or anything, but you got a little bit of credit this summer for catching some cobia.
Yeah, I mean, there was a stint there that almost every trip that I went out for looking for these things, we would find them, I mean, Lisa and I went out one day on the weekend. There was so much boat traffic. We only caught one, but we saw several.
Yeah, I mean,
on the Humminbird.
In all honesty, though, as a client of yours, and the more you're a good educator when you're on the boat. And when it comes to catching cobia, a good trip is not necessarily how many cobia you catch, but how many cobia you see. And I learned that from our first trip. I mean, we saw. And these were bad conditions.
Yeah, it weren't the best. That was Cape Charles.
Yeah, because with cobia, you need sun.
Yep.
You can't have clouds. Because the first trip I went on was 2 years ago, and we saw 2 that day. But it was also complete overcast. We got there, and you were like, we can go, but our shoulders were like this because we knew what was coming that day.
Yeah.
And whatever, we made chicken salad out of chicken shit, and we had a fun day.
Yeah.
I think we caught some blues that day. We screwed around. And then last year was just a totally different story. We go out and we had the learning curve, because, me and Dave, we're watching videos 3 weeks up to it going like, we got it.
Yeah.
We got it. Till the first cast. And you're like, dude, you got to be quicker than that. We're like, we thought we were.
Yeah, right. Right. And even Dave's dad hooked up, but it came unbuttoned.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not easy.
One thing that I didn't see in any of the videos, and I guess a warning to somebody catching a cobia new is, mine jumped out of the water. Because I think I hooked up to one before I caught one, and it jumped out of the water, and you guys are making fun of me because I said, that thing just jumped like a tarpon. And you guys are like, that's not what a tarpon jumps like, but I know what you mean.
Yeah. The one I caught with Lisa and I went in the summer, just the two of us, and the one I caught, it jumped on me several times, and I'd never seen it before.
Yeah.
It was pretty incredible. It was very similar to the way a tarpon leaves the water, but...
Yeah.
Something new every day.
Yeah, both cobia and reds are just incredibly powerful and incredibly humbling when you hook into them, realizing they're in control.
Yeah,
and that's what you taught us. When I was hooking into my first rod, you're like, "What are you doing? This is not a largemouth bass.
Right.
It's not a 24-inch striper, dude.
Right?
Like you go where it goes, and the drag catches the fish.
Absolutely.
And that was a big learning curve for me. So
yeah.
I guess I kind of want to dive back into the captain. A couple more captain questions for you. Just I've always had these curiosity things. I've watched a lot of, as we all do. We all watch a lot of YouTube, watch a lot of Instagram, watch a lot of Facebook. Yeah, right. Yeah,
still do.
You out of all people, still do. Guilty as charged. And one thing that kind of stuck with me, because dude, I'm scared. I'm not going to say I'm scared. I'm worried because I know it's coming when I get my captain's license and what challenges I have ahead of me. And I know what I don't know.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of challenges that are thrown at me. And one thing that kind of stuck, which makes sense, and I think will help me out and help whoever out is, I forget who said it. I want to say it was Judd Brock. But he said that the worst time or the worst part of a trip for a captain or the make or break is the first hour and the last hour. Because the first hour you have no idea what the day is going to throw at you, and the last hour could be the worst if you have nothing all day and you got to pull something out of your ass.
Right.
Which you've done a couple times. You just pull out that golden hour fish.
Yeah.
What's your take on that saying?
I would much rather. I would really not want to be in that last hour with nothing happening till that last hour. I mean that's a tough place to be in, because there's a point in time where you just have to say, guys, it ain't happening today.
Yeah,
and I've been there, and it really sucks.
I've been there for when you say that.
Yeah,
and
it's deflating,
and everyone on the boat knows it. By the way, but also there's been a lot of times where we've been out and I understand fishing isn't always catching, and a lot of people do, but I've also been at that point in the trip where I'm ready to throw the towel in just out of ignorance, and you're like, no. There's time left, Yeah,
you just never know. I mean, I can be stubborn about it sometimes. I can be almost too positive about it, but everybody's been there. Yeah. Everybody's been in that position where it's like, it's not going to happen. And you're like, and the moment that I try and guarantee things, I've always known you don't guarantee anything.
You've never guaranteed anything with me from day one. Everything's always been there's a chance at a great opportunity.
I'd much rather aim high and shoot low and hopefully get somewhere in between. Yeah. And
expect for the worst, hope for the best.
Exactly. Expect the worst, hope for the best, and just over deliver. Yeah. So it can be tough. I don't mind the first hour, but
Come on, Brad.
I don't mind the first.
Hi, Mom.
I don't mind the first hour.
Yeah.
But man, that is tough when you're like, there's 3 hours left, nothing's happened. There's 2. I
guess the first hour there's still a ton of positivity to be had.
Yeah.
Also, unless you're expecting fire off the first hour, it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
But I saw it firsthand with, I guess the second cobia trip. My first cobia that I caught, we went down for 2.5 days of fishing. And like I said, we saw those fish, we lost fish, and just like we were deflated.
Yeah.
And you called for the buzzer beater. And dude, I mean that's a cool story right there.
No, I'm gonna turn this off. That was pretty odd because we had seen fish in that one area and like let's just keep trying it. I mean, we're bound to see something.
The pattern that day was sea rays. Shortly after there was cobia in the area.
Yeah.
We didn't see that cobia though.
No, I'm pretty sure we saw
a red.
I'm pretty sure we saw a bull red.
And
I think there
I'm
was
not
a
pretty
cobia
sure.
nearby.
I mean, I'm crazy, and I can put own ideas in my head to the point where I believe them. I'm almost positive, being fresh off of a Reds trip, that there was a single bull red, big one.
I'm pretty sure it was.
And I casted at it, and it fought just like a red. Because I remember you going like, "You've done this before. You're good, buddy." Like,
yeah.
And I was like super confident until you guys go, "That's a cobia," and I was like, "I don't know what to do."
Yeah, yeah.
I lost all confidence at that point.
I mean, yeah, we had some hookups. They came unbuttoned, but I mean, that last fish was like, I mean, it was a good, solid, fulfilling feeling that the day was coming to an end. The conditions
a 3-day trip or a 2.5-day trip.
The conditions were getting worse that day.
Yeah,
we ran in some snotty weather, but that was pretty spectacular. I mean, that was 42 inches. We harvested it. You guys split it up amongst the 4 of you, and it was awesome.
That's the one fish that I almost have to harvest, and I don't know the science and the numbers, but I think the numbers are okay from what I hear. Would you concur with that?
There's differing opinions. I mean, I think I know the limit got reduced this year, and I'm on my boat. I'm only going to allow 1 fish per trip. I think you can keep 2 in Maryland. I don't even know what it is, but I'm only allowing 1 fish between 40 and 49 inches.
Which is agreeable because, I came home and cut up
There's so much meat.
Dude, I came home and cut up a fish and it fed us for 2 months. I mean, You're not going to eat cobia every single night.
I mean, I am very fortunate that the people that come out and fish with me on a regular basis, they are more, they're more purist about just wanting to have a chance to catch one of these things on light tackle.
Yeah.
And feel what it feels like. And they don't need to. They don't feel like the bay owes them something because they've spent money. And so, I mean, it's fine by me, but I can't keep. I don't think it's worth it. I think there's. I'd like to see populations be at
sustainability
all-time high.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And I'll vouch for you. Whenever I've kept a fish in your boat, there's always been a nasty look on your face.
Not nasty.
Not nasty.
It's
no,
to each their own. But
you've done a good job of educating everybody on your boat. At least the charters that I've been on, or the guide trips that I've been on. What we, not necessarily what we should be doing, but you've educated us and let us make our own decisions.
People have I used to be. When I was younger, I was I was introduced to the trolling game and catching big spawning stripers behind a boat with 16 rods out and everything. And I have friends that do that charter in the trophy season, and more power to them. It's how they make their living, and I get it. It's great. It's a rush. It's fun. It's a different charter than what I do. I mean, my opinion or what I do about how I like this year, I am catch and release only for stripers. I just what I believe is the right thing to do. In the actuality of it all, do I really think that my decision to do that is making a huge impact? Not really. It's just it's my part. I feel like I'm doing my part to maybe help the thought process behind. Fishery's not in good shape.
Yeah.
More can be done. The science doesn't really lie. We don't really have a good support system in Annapolis that's helping the fishery. We have people that are in Annapolis that are kind of yes people, and there's no one really standing up for the fishery like, should be. It's just,
there's a lot of politics. I mean, and that's really what it is. I mean, and people can go back and forth and propose outlandish solutions all day.
I think what's coming is the M word's going to come. I mean, I really feel like more than likely a moratorium's going to come, and that would really suck.
Don't tell me that, Brad.
I
know, and that's a bittersweet thing, because for me it doesn't need to happen, because I think there's other ways it can be managed.
Yeah.
I'm not a fish scientist. I ain't no fish rocket scientist or anything.
Yeah.
But there's also people who think differently in the bay about what to do with stripers. I have friends that won't come on my boat unless I put a fish in the cooler, too. And you've steered me in the right direction too. And I told Sean this on the last podcast. I'm not keeping stripers this year, dude. I'm done too. You've influenced me that way. I see where it's going, and I want to be part of the solution, not part of the problem. But there's also a lot of guys out there that just don't think that. It's not the way they're wired, and that wasn't the way I was wired until I was educated.
No, there's a legit. It's the way someone was brought up. It's their upbringing. It's what they believe. And that's fine. The Chesapeake Bay is Maryland's greatest resource. It's not an infinite provider of species.
Yeah.
I mean, it can be depleted. Am I going to see
it? It's being depleted, not can be depleted. It's being depleted.
And it's not the only avenue. It's not the only place that needs to be corrected. Yes, there are other places that can be improved upon, other jurisdictions, other areas of the country up the eastern seaboard, but I mean, Maryland could do a lot better job of putting the fish first than what they're doing right now.
Yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, it's a migratory fish. We're just one stop on the Striper Highway.
One location.
One location, and especially where I live at. I live in the flats. This was, and I was joking with this about, I think I was talking to Dave when we were on the way to go meet you for some secret pond fun the other day.
Yeah.
We're driving over the dam, and we're going towards Harford County. And I look at him and I said, what's crazy? My dad gave me my first boat in 2010. It was right after I graduated high school. He gave me a boat that he had gave away because we didn't use it that much. Boy, was he missing out on what I could have been, Dad.
Right.
No, he had a cool little 14-foot sea nymph.
Okay.
And it was a big John boat for what it was, and that was, other than my boat I have now, that was my favorite boat. It did anything. I got a cool story for that too after this, but so whatever. My dad back then gave me this John boat that was super reliable, started every time. I could have taken it anywhere.
Right.
We're driving over the dam towards Harford County, and I've heard the good old days from up here. 2009, 2010, 2009 to 2012. I've heard the Walleye Pete stories.
Yeah.
You've heard all the legend of the flats back then.
Yeah.
And we're driving over the dam. I look to the right and I said, guess where I was in 2010? Fishing for catfish and smallmouth right there. And guess what was happening in 2010 and 2011, 2012? Some of the best years. Some of the best, years of stripers that the legends tell were to the left, and I didn't know. Yeah. That's back when social media wasn't really that big, and I remember my dad telling me, like, you really should go try the flats sometimes, because he used to take the boat there back in the day, and it's just crazy. It baffles me and it pisses me off, because now that I live here, because I had to live close to the water, it's depleted. You don't need the numbers to tell the story. From year to year to year, from the first year I went out with you, I noticed a huge difference just from 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. To last year, to we'll see what this year brings. I mean, yeah, and you seeing it's somewhat anecdotal. Like, you say this story, like, I've noticed it. Well, you can say that. Other people say that. There are some people saying I had the best summer ever in 2020. Depending on what you did last year. That's great. But if your best summer is you catching 24, 26 inches, that's great. There are stories from the early 2000s and late 90s that when a 35 incher
was the norm.
Yeah, Charlie would have been eating peanut M&Ms while people were catching 35-inch.
Right. You know, I mean,
that's it.
You know, there's always this degrading norm. You know, the norms are changing from year to year, and the fish are getting smaller. And you know, I don't have all the answers. I don't know, but I'd much rather you know, put forth an effort that shows that I'd like to see the populations come back. I'd like to see a better quality grade of fish that can be targeted. But I'm afraid that this path is going to end up going down the moratorium path, which if it does,
like I said, bittersweet, because the population after the moratorium last time. When was the moratorium?
I don't even remember. I wasn't fishing hard. I wasn't targeting stripers. Yeah. I wasn't in that. I was on the Wacomico River in Salisbury with a 13-foot Boston whaler.
Yeah, just
you know, I didn't care about stripers when that was going on.
Gotcha. Yeah, so I wasn't. Do you remember any of the year? I don't even think I was born yet. I'm 29.
I don't remember it. I
thought it was late 80s.
Yeah. I don't remember it though.
But regardless, it's bittersweet. I hope it doesn't come there. I mean, I hope we can make better decisions. But like you said, you know, hope and what's going to happen is two different things.
Oh, agree.
Are you comfortable with saying, give me your, in a perfect world, Brad's plan? We know you're not a marine biologist. What would you want to see happen?
I'd like to see catch and release stop being demonized. Because it's ridiculous what has happened in propaganda and misinformed or misappropriated data that gets put out there in the wrong ways. Catch and release is hardly one of the major reasons we have a decline in a fish population.
Done the right way with education, I wholeheartedly agree.
Absolutely.
Because I think people need to be educated. You know, and when you look at numbers, those are just broad numbers with no explanation behind them. I forget what the word you used earlier. It was a big word that's out of my vocabulary.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, right.
Probably a good Scrabble word.
It probably was a good Scrabble word. But there's no context behind those numbers. So catch and release numbers in the last week of July and the first week of August probably take up, if you got 9%, that's probably 8% of that 9%.
Yeah.
You know, when the dissolved oxygen levels are dog shit and people are you know, throat hooking stripers and throwing them back in the water.
Yeah.
They're going to die that way.
Yeah. More than likely. I mean, I've been educated by others as I've come from, you know, recreational stuff in 2007, 16, 17, 18 to being a guide. I won't chase and target stripers starting July 1 this year. I'll be done. I will fish for stripers from, you know, middle of May till June 30th. And then July's going to come and I'll start looking for reds, or I'll go fish for speckled trout or Spanish mackerel. I'll go different areas. Yeah. I mean, if you don't go different areas, you're not going to get to experience those other things. If you're only willing to go in your backyard and not trail a boat anywhere, then I can see why people get upset that they, you know, the season gets shut down because of oxygen levels or warm water. I can appreciate that, but yeah. I mean, you got to give them a break sometime. I mean, that's you know.
Well, and that's the cool thing about Chesapeake Bay. It goes from year to year with the salinity levels and all that other stuff. But just the last 2-3 years is just completely eye-opening to what we have here in front of us, mm-hmm. and how mistreated it is. You know, I remember in June 2 years ago seeing a Spanish mac off of Pools Island.
Crazy.
And me looking at my buddy Steve and going like, that was a Spanish mackerel. And he's like, no way.
Spanish mackerel.
2 weeks later, the Spanish mackerel are flooding the Bay Bridge. Yeah. And I'm going like, I told you it was a Spanish mackerel.
Dolphins. I mean, it's crazy what salinity will do when it's like a low moisture type of season.
Yeah, and when you get these weird weather patterns, and I'm still too young in the fishing game to understand any of this or even be able to grasp it at all. But you know, you get these couple years in a row where you get certain species of fish come and flood things, and then you get them where they're not here at all. You know, like there's that cool bluefish run that comes through Ocean City that didn't happen last year, right?
It didn't happen to the way it did the year before.
Yeah,
where you get like 36-inch bluefish. I mean, there's people who like set their watch by it.
Yeah, well, I sent you and I'll all these stories we talk about. I'll superimpose the pictures of what we're talking over this podcast here. But I think I showed you the picture of Clay, who had no idea this bluefish run was happening. Mm-hmm. What is the inlet in Ocean City?
Ocean City Inlet.
Or what's the bay called? Like, if you're on 17,
Assawoman Bay.
Assawoman Bay.
Yeah.
So yeah, his family owns some property there on Assawoman Bay, and he was just going out after work because he works for Comcast, and he would just go out there and toss a line in, and he's just nailing mid-30s bluefish and going like, what is going on?
Right.
You know, and he's catching them on a bass rod too.
Right.
You know, and just unbelievable pictures. And I remember him sending them to me. I'm like, I don't remember.
I've always wanted to do that, and I haven't done it yet.
Oh, dude, I got the perfect spot. If they run this year, we'll go down there. It's the guys whose property is really cool. I think he definitely let us go on there and catch them. But I mean, it's perfect. There's a small river that pours into Assawoman Bay, and he's right on the corner there. And there's a channel cut that goes through there. And Clay kind of had this down to a science because he was down there for 2 weeks of where to cast,
right,
where everything was where your bait was going to be
taken. They were
taken.
just bombarding bait,
dude. Just slamming them, and it's just whatever. That's just one example of the cool patterns that come through. Because not every year we get Spanish Max, not every year we get blues, not every year.
Not above the Bay Bridge.
No.
Yeah.
And you know, and some of our trips last year opened my eyes up to just certain species, how far they come up in the bay. And I'm not going to name them, and I know you know which one I'm talking about, but you know, it was pretty incredible, and it's exciting, kind of like the golf game to try to better my game and learn what's going on here.
Oh yeah.
I want to talk about Humminbird real quick.
Okay.
shout out to Humminbird. When did you figure that out? Was that a tip off from somebody?
I didn't figure it out. It was Alan.
Alan
was
Batista.
Yeah, Alan Batista pretty much browbeat me, and it's from a standpoint of it was kind of foreign to me. I wasn't super into electronics. Like, I didn't realize. He's an engineer. He's
a fish nerd.
He's a fish nerd. And he's very accomplished, and he's always been a Humminbird guy. And when this imaging came out, this side scan stuff,
fairly new, correct? Like within 5 years.
Yeah,
to this extent.
To the quality it is now, yeah. I mean, it's stupid good. So eventually, I mean, I bought the Parker, and I had a Garmin that I bought and installed myself, and I was like, this will be fun. It has side scan. Yeah,
because you browbeat me this year.
The side scan was garbage.
I just bought a new boat.
Sonar's good, side scan garbage. So, I mean, I sold the unit, took the plunge, and I mean, I buy all my own stuff. I don't get anything for free or whatever. I pay for everything, and I say,
this is not a paid sponsor. I just want to, when it comes to certain things, and this is podcast number 2. I'm a long way from a paid sponsor. If that's ever even a reality, just want to make that clear.
No, I mean, I'll give credit where credit's due.
Exactly.
It has changed. It has helped, not me per se, but it helped my clients tremendously. And frankly, I mean, it took me a while to train my brain, because you do have to train your brain to look at this screen and say, okay, that is the school of reds, or that's a little group of cobia.
By the way, this year when we go on our trip together, I'm because you have to train me now that I got the Humminbird on the way.
Right.
We're gonna buy one of those little baby carriers, and I'm just gonna ride. I'm just gonna ride around on your chest like, is that a fish? No, Matt, that's a
baby Bjorn. Yeah,
that's a stick, Matt. Once again, shut up.
I mean, they put out a quality product, and it's gotten better. I mean, used to be they didn't have the best charts. Now they've got tremendous charts. They have this Coastmaster chip. I mean, I put it in the machine and took my Navionics out, and it blew me away. I mean, they're doing a lot of good things, and I'm it helps me help my clients catch fish. It's really cool. I mean, it's a game changer.
Yeah, Nick threw the Coastmaster chip in with my package.
Yeah.
I didn't ask for it, but I'm like, you talked me into it.
Yeah.
All you had to do was put it on the invoice. We're good.
Yeah. I mean, I took a leap of faith. Like, this really going to help me, and it sure as hell did. I mean, it's pretty tremendous technology.
Yeah, you talked me into it. Like you said, you got browbeat by Alan. You browbeat me this year.
Yeah.
I knew I needed it. I just needed that push.
People, I mean, I love showing people what it can do.
Yeah, well, it's incredible, dude. I mean, when you can, when you got, what do you have on each side of the boat? 100 or 200 foot?
Well, it depends. It depends how deep I am, for one. If you're 15 to 20 foot deep, you can see pretty far out on both sides pretty clearly. But I mean, as far as if you're like 3 foot of water, which I am oftentimes, I mean, you can probably
or less.
I can see 100 feet really clearly on each side, 110. I know Pete stretches his out pretty far. I mean, my favorite story that I tell of why this thing is so incredible, and I got to show people on my boat this past summer, but it was a cobia trip, and it wasn't sight casting. It was finding him with electronics and casting to what I see.
I was on one of these trips.
Yeah, you were on one of them. But I had these 4 guys on, and 3 out of 4 had all caught a cobia. Some actually had casted again, hooked up, and it came unbuttoned. I have one. That's my oldest son. He can't take a hint. I have one guy that had hooked up like 4 or 5 times, and he had not sealed the deal yet. And
wait, let me stop you real quick. Had he caught a cobia previous to this?
No.
Oh.
So he had hooked up and had these chances, drag peeling, and it came unbuttoned.
Is this Dave?
No, this is Jimmy.
Okay, because Dave loses a ton of fish.
Dave does lose. He catches small ones too.
No! Dang it!
So Jimmy was sitting there a little deflated, and it was like 4:25 in the afternoon, and I had been out there for 9 hours, and I wanted to get Jimmy this fish, and we're coming back up, and I'm doing like 5 miles an hour. And there is on my screen at like, I don't know how far out it is. I have to see the picture. It might have been 90 or 100 foot. There's 2 little dots. And I said, Jimmy, grab your rod and cast back starboard corner. They're like, might have been 40 feet out or something like. You're casting to 2 fish. And all of a sudden, this one guy comes running down from the bow, looking around the corner at my screen. He goes, what do you see? I said, it's these 2 dots right here. And before I could say dots to this guy, his rod bends over after 2 pops of the jig, and as he brings his fish up, the second fish is with it. And that is incredible stuff. I told him he was casting to 2 fish.
It took a second for it to set in when you said that second fish came up. You said there was 2 dots.
Yeah, and that is incredible stuff. I mean, it surprises me every time I use that machine. It's really, really cool.
Yeah, just wait 20 years and you'll be like, I see their eyes. They're looking at us right now.
Right. Right.
That cobia is eyeing me.
I don't know where you go after the lot. Having
I have no idea.
Garmin Live or Live Scope or Humminbird Live's coming out. I mean,
I guess when you can see the fish swimming in the column.
Swimming in real time
in the column. Yeah, how much easier? Okay, let's stop now.
Right.
You know what I mean? Let's stop with this version.
Right.
It's still hard enough now. I mean, I don't want to keep harping to make it seem like it's some kind of sponsor here, but it is a very important piece of equipment for all of us.
Yeah.
My humminbird story was the rays, man. When you're digging through reds and rays, like hooking into a ray is you're gonna get yelled at by Brad. Yeah. Gator gonna be mad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's nothing you can do about that.
No, I know, but you can see, when you see the ray and you can see your red, the difference that helps. It saves.
Sometimes you can.
You
can see the diamond pattern. On the screen,
and it saves you 20 minutes of headache.
Yeah, agreed.
So all this, we're talking in the past. What's the goals this year, buddy? You can be as secret as you want. You're not gonna offend me.
No. Goals. That's a good question. I have the main goal is I want Lisa to catch a cobia. I want Thomas to catch a cobia.
Has Charlie gotten one?
Oh yeah, Charlie got one last year.
I figured he did.
Charlie hit for the cycle last year. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think the 3 species that I care most about is stripers, cobia, and reds. I mean, it would be cool. I'd love to catch a big speck this year. I don't target them enough. I don't.
What do you consider big? 26?
Something over 25.
20. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, 22 is big, but you get into that 25 range, and that's
You personally or on your boat?
both.
Yeah,
Both.
I mean, that's the cool thing about being a captain, though. Like
I like people catching big stuff.
I know, but it's also like this the satisfaction of you track that fish down. You're the tracker. You're the guy sticking the ear to the ground and telling people where to shoot.
Right.
They land the shot, but you found where the species is at.
Yeah. I mean, there's no really crazy goals. I'd love to go down and do more sight fishing down in Cape Charles. I don't have a whole lot of experience with that, frankly, because I don't have like a half tower or a tower or somewhere high perch that you can see better.
You make do.
Well, we make do.
You should see what... Did I ever show you the picture of the guy Paul who sold me my boat?
Yeah.
The hunting stand he put on the front.
I mean, look, you can get creative, and I've strongly considered the old little giant ladder deal and some ratchet straps.
Yeah, but
if it gets rough out there, you need... I've seen guys ratchet strap themselves to the ladder. I mean, that's stupid.
Yeah, because that's like strapping yourself to a falling tree.
Yeah.
Now, that's why I'm getting that. What do you call them? The tarpon cage.
Yeah. I thought about doing that. I just don't have enough time to get it done, and at some point I'll have a stand through station at the top of my T-top where I stand on the top of the console. I don't want a full tower, but I'll have a stand through tower at some point.
Without sounding like a bitch, I'll tell you this: I hate working out. I started doing it recently. I'm running and jogging.
Yep.
And I hate the pain of lactic acid in any part of my body. Mm-hmm. Some of the worst pain that I've ever had was standing on the front of the Parker, balancing
with your legs
without complaining. Just my ankles, man.
Yeah.
Just whatever. Wearing Crocs like an idiot up there, like no support on your feet.
The only thing that keeps you going is the hope of seeing.
Exactly.
A 50-inch cobia.
It's just like when it's cold out. If you're catching fish, you don't even realize the cold.
Yeah.
Can we talk about Charlie's fish?
Sure.
Because that was pretty special, man. Charlie's a cool kid, dude. You've had him out fishing a couple times. You should be a proud father for that dude.
I am.
I know. But that kid can fish.
Yeah.
Like, dude, what did you do with him? Yes, because you haven't been fishing for 20 years, have you?
No. But he has been fishing since the age of 2. I mean,
really?
He's been crabbing because we had a little Boston whaler we'd go crabbing in or something, and he was always fishing with worms and hooks and catching some fish. It was always something. He loves it. I mean, it's just in his blood.
This is a struggle that me and Jess have right now because we're about to get married. We're talking kids here in the next couple of years. How soon is too soon to have a kid on the boat?
I mean, I think
3 weeks, 4 weeks. I mean, you know me, man.
Maybe a little soon.
As soon as they can hold their necks up, right? They're good.
That 2-year-old time frame is pretty. When they can support their own head in a life jacket, that's pretty important.
Yeah, I mean, I'll hold my son or daughter's head up. I don't care. I gotta go fishing, man.
Yeah.
But no, let's get back to Charlie's fish.
Yeah.
Like I said, the kid's got some good instincts.
Yep. He's
a super polite kid. You raised him right. He's I have fun every time we go out seeing him catch fish and then seeing the look on your face too.
Yeah.
That makes it. Other than when he catches bigger fish than me and he's 16. How old is he? 15? 16?
He's 13.
He's 13.
He'll be 14 in April.
He's like 6'2", isn't he?
I think he's taller than me now. He's at least 6.
So I'm 5'6".
Yeah.
He's taller than me. Catches bigger fish than me.
I know.
So yeah, let's talk about that day with a certain amount of discretion.
Sure. I mean, the day was special. Any day you catch multiple big fish is special. The funniest part of the story is that you had the biggest red.
I didn't want to go here, but I knew you were going to go there.
That you had for the year, you had the biggest red and the biggest cobia on the boat on the Parker. So I started pumping you up with, you could be the Triple Crown winner here if you catch another.
On purpose, man. You know how my brain works. You knew this was going to screw with me, and then you brought the ringer. It's just a sick, twisted.
The funny thing is, you caught. I think you had a 48-incher.
49. Don't cut me short, okay?
49.
I get cut short everywhere else in my life. Yeah. Don't take an inch away from me.
You had a 49-inch striper that we got in a picture of, we got a quick measurement and let it go.
I remember catching the fish and you wanted a 50 on the boat because I remember let's double check this real quick. You're always very quick with it, and we were quick, but you're like, Dave, make sure that's on the tail. Like I know you wanted to see 5.0.
Yeah. I mean, it's a holy grail. It's a holy grail. So when Charlie, I mean, it seemed like everybody was hooked into one of these stripers. They were waiting. They were fighting the fish for a decent time, 10 minutes or so, and then you get into the boat, we get them in, and it's like, well, that looks big. That looks big. This is a real one right here. And so we measured it and measured 50 3/4, and it was special. I mean, it's at 13 years of age, I was not catching 50-inch striped bass.
Yeah.
And, for him to do that and have that experience and for me to witness it and it's a big deal. It's a special memory that, I'll never forget. But, I mean, that's holy grail stuff. I mean, it's
you kept saying holy grail, and you
don't see him that big very often.
I'm so new to this, and the more I realize that, the better it's going to help me. But I don't know what to expect going into these new adventures with you or I don't fish with another captain. I don't want to, but when we go into these new adventures of, hey Matt, let's give this a try, and I'm like, okay, buddy,
yeah.
I don't care. I'll lose my job. Let's let's go catch this fish. I'll tell him whatever.
Yeah.
And yeah, we saw some really special stuff this year. I got to see some really cool stuff, and that I love catching my 49, but seeing that was really cool, and I was incredibly jealous off because you had pumped me up so hard at the Triple Crown. I was like, man, a 13-year-old just beat me. But then I realized what happened, and it kind of hit hard there. And you got to see that, man. I mean, that's really cool. That's something I hope I get to have with my son or daughter one day is something along the lines of that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, he had a good year. I mean, he had a really 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 good year. I mean,
he's spoiled, dude.
He's a little spoiled.
Shoo.
He got his first red this year, but he waited 3 to get his first red because he had been heartbroken 3 years prior. And he
on misses or
missed one. He had one on and it came unbuttoned, and then he watched his brother catch one, and watched his brother catch another one. And
see, I thought it was the other way around. I thought Charlie had gotten 2, and then Thomas got 1.
No, Thomas had the red first, and that was painful.
Shoo. Yeah.
Good sport though. I mean, he was. They're as much as they can bicker on video games and everything, but when it comes to the boat, it's.
Well, Charlie's got the fire in his eye too. I mean, you could tell when he wants something, he's staying at it. I mean, he's like his dad.
He's gotten much better with
discipline, fishing discipline per se.
Yeah, and I'm sure I'd like to ask him what his goals are this year.
55, Dad.
55, yeah. I would say
60.
I'll go back real quick to that goal. I would like to really contend this year at the Tangier Classic, which I do with with Thomas and Charlie. That would be cool to contend there. It's not an easy tournament contend. You really have to be on your game, but that would be fun to kind of be high on the leaderboard.
Yeah,
for that.
Have you fished it before, right?
Mm-hmm.
And did you place or anything or?
No, nothing crazy. It's just a fun camaraderie time. It's the best fishing tournament in the Chesapeake Bay.
How many boats are in that? Roughly, a ton.
There were 300 and some entrants last year.
Wow. And
then there's a whole kayak division, which Aaron Wiener won last year. I mean, he walked away.
That's the guy. That's the guy we fished with, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm definitely gonna enter that this year. And I'll be at the very bottom for sure.
Yeah.
But no, it sounds like a cool tournament. And you're a sponsor this year, aren't you?
Yeah, I gave 2 trips to them this year to be. It's for them to do what they want to do. They can give them to as a prize. They can do a silent raffle, whatever they want to do it's up to them. But one trip will be like a regular trip, and I've told them the other trip can be a highly sought after trip, something special. So we'll see how they want to divvy it up. It'll be fun.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that tournament. I've never done it. I don't know that area at all, which is why I'm saying I'm going to be at the bottom of the leaderboard. Maybe last.
It'll be.
I'm trying to think of Happy Gilmore, who was at the bottom of that, like when they were going back and forth at the bottom.
Yeah.
But do you need a trolling motor for that tournament?
No.
Definitely should have.
Is it helpful? Yes.
You're going to talk me into a trolling motor by Tangier Classic.
Every time you call me, you spend money.
I made money on the last phone call.
That's true. It's helpful.
Yeah,
it's tremendously helpful. Do you need it? No, but stealth is extremely critical in water that's sometimes only 2 feet deep.
I got a couple notes left here. I know we're getting pretty far down here. 8:00 on a Tuesday night. Are you enjoying it so far?
Oh, good. Yeah,
dude. This is kind of wild for me. It's uncharted territory.
Yeah.
No pun intended. But having you on here has meant a lot. Like I said, you're a big influence in my fishing career, quote unquote.
Appreciate it.
I really do appreciate it. Almost at a loss for words. You're one of my first guys on here because you have a lot of respect across the bay. I'm sure you're starting to realize that, but it's absolutely true. One more story that we missed from earlier in the year was your wife catching the 30-incher right in front of me last year when the biggest I caught. Okay, so guys, I live up in the flats. All right, I fish here every day. And I slammed him last year to my standards. Brad just kind of strolls out one day. You tell the story. I'm gonna put my headphones down for 1 minute and grab beer. You can talk though.
We're just we're just kind of
moseying.
We're moseying. It wasn't the nicest day in the world. It was a fishy day, but it was cold and it was rainy and it was little wind until we got out there. It really laid down, but we just in a very prominent place in the flats and just kind of checking the area. It wasn't like it was on fire or anything, but
it was steady that day.
There were fish around, there was bait around, and overcast, and Lisa's biggest striper.
Let me interject real quick with why I was close to you. So this was one of my old boat, and I had a shit fish finder, and you said you were coming out, and I knew you had the Humminbird, and I was like, "Hey, Brad, I'm gonna stay at I'm gonna shadow you, safe distance. I'm not gonna encroach on your radar distance."
I offered you to tie off to the bow cleat.
I know, but yeah.
No, I mean we just got out there, and you never know out there. You can catch a 16-incher, you can catch a 46-incher. You have no idea when it's coming. There are very few people that I know that have the pattern down up there to a T. One of those guys is no longer with us, which is Joe Yak, who I had the very fortunate pleasure of fishing with a couple times and picking up some really good.
Is this the guy who used to fish with Pete?
I don't know if he fished with Pete a lot, but I mean,
no. There was Pete's got that article, and there was one guy on there that he had a bunch of pictures of this one guy catching fish. Continue.
I don't really know the history, but yeah, I mean, Joe Yak was a big influence up here, and he
was
had
his last name Yak.
Yeah, it was longer, but he shortened it to Yak.
Yeah.
But I mean, he was one of those few guys that really had the patterns down, and there's other guys I know that really have a good pattern down up here, and you can time certain areas just right. But oftentimes you'll be out there and you just have no idea when that rod goes down, if it's a schoolie or if it's a trophy. That's what's cool about the flats. You just never know what you're going to catch. So, and this wasn't any sort of major big fish, but for Lisa it was her personal best, and she ended up, boating this 31.5-inch striper, and her biggest fish prior to that was also in the flats at 30 inches or 31 inches. And so, I mean, you, as an angler, you keep track of that stuff. It's what kind of keeps you going to the next thing. And she was thrilled, but it's funny.
Is that still her PB?
It is.
She's going to beat that this year easily.
She'll beat that.
Yeah.
And
the funny part to me, because there's a funny part to this story. I'm at arm's length from you, and it pissed off because I'm like, I knew this was going to happen. I knew it.
Matt!
Yeah, I knew it. I hear like a whistle and just check Lisa out, and I'm like, me and Sean are sitting there with our hands on our head because we'd fish here like 6 days prior every day, in the same spot, like doing the same drift.
Yeah.
And then you guys come out. I just see you mosey out. I see the beautiful blue Parker just come out. I'm like, here we go.
She was thrilled, but we were both cold, and I was like, all right, we're good.
Yeah, it was kind of a snotty day.
Roll back in, but I mean that kind of stuff is. I love taking her out, and we just love going fishing. But helping her achieve this next goal, or like she's got it really. She's focused this year. She's got her kayak in shape. We're going to North Carolina this Thursday for a couple days just with kayaks. I think she's
get a little closer to the mic.
I think we're gonna do, or she's gonna do the Tangier Classic, the kayak division this year.
On the kayak.
It's fun to watch her. She's very determined, and it's
in most. I don't know her personally, other than a couple times we met, and she's very pleasant. But just following her on social media, she seems super determined in whatever she does. She's a go getter. Which is cool.
She's somewhat stubborn.
Yeah. In a good way.
In a good way. But I mean, she wants to. Big thing is fly fishing. She's going to take a fly rod this weekend down in North Carolina. I would love to see her catch a puppy drum on the fly. I mean, I think it would be ridiculously awesome.
I think there's a goal for me. I have a lot of goals, dude.
Well, now that you say that, shit, that is my goal this year. I have a goal that can you edit this back in maybe?
Yeah. No. Organic, baby.
Yeah, it's
organic.
All organic. Yeah, now that you say it, my one main goal this year is to catch a bull red on the fly.
What weight do you need for that?
I have a 10 weight. I have a 10 weight rod and a really nice 10 weight Ross reel.
Yeah.
That I've spent way too much money on, which felt fantastic. And I feel like I got the right stuff. I have the right flies from a 15-year-old kid now. Ian.
Dude, I met Ian.
Miller Time. No, not Ian Rubin.
Oh.
This is Miller Time Flies.
Okay.
Let me look him up. Yeah, I had him tie me.
Yeah, I saw Dave's brother tag him today. Miller Time Flies.
Yes,
he's a kid, isn't he?
He's 15 years old, and he's a very.
What's with these kids nowadays making this stuff?
He's very accomplished tie flyer for like TFO. He does. I guess he's. I don't want to say sponsored, but he's part of like the Norvice team, which is a Vice company, and he's tied in with Braden Miller, not Ian. I was thinking Ian Rubin. Braden Miller is Miller Time Flies. He's 15 years old. He's affiliated with Temple Fork Outfitters, Outdoors, Norvice. But I mean, he's legit, dude. He tied me these beautiful flies.
15 years old.
15 years old. He tied me these beautiful mullet flies for reds and cobia or even stripers, and that's a big goal, is to get a bull red on the fly. That would make my year.
For me, now that we're talking about fly fishing, I used to do it in like golf ponds. Winners run golf ponds. You go in there and just slam sunnies.
That's some of the most fun.
Yeah, but no, I want to late in the summer here up in the flats, and I'm kind of giving away a secret, but it's not whatever. There is like a good 3 or 4 weeks where there is sufficient stripers in very shallow water that will smash flies. So that's definitely one of my goals this year.
I've heard carp on the fly is pretty cool.
Carp are such a weird fish, though, dude. I've caught them out here in like 30 feet of water, and then also I've seen carp jump out of the water and eat berries off a bush before. Like, I've caught carp out here on bloodworms. I caught one last year in April. I was out fishing for white perch because I was bored because you can't fish for stripers, and I hooked into a carp, and I'm like, I accidentally hooked into a monster striper. It was a carp, dude. I mean, it was. I'll post a picture of it. I don't like touching carp, so the picture, and I'm not lying. My buddy Clay's holding the carp. I think carp are disgusting. I can't stand their mouth. It grosses me out, man. And dude, I'll gut any fish you want. I won't touch a carp.
Yeah. That's good to know.
Yeah, dude. They freak me out, and I've caught a lot of them. Like my dad and Dave's dad we've claimed the king of carp. Like if you want to catch carp, talk to them, dude. Yep. They got it down to a science. Yeah. And I love catching them. I hate.
They're fun.
Them.
They're fun to catch.
They're like the poor man's bull red.
Yeah, they are. They are. No doubt about it.
So I'm glad I remembered this because I want to do this on this podcast just to let it known for the record. On one of our bull reds this summer, the trips, we decided a little bet. And I
here it comes.
I want for the record. And I got a pen here. I'm gonna write this down.
Did you buy it yet?
No, because we haven't.
You want to solidify it right now?
We're solidifying. I'm writing it down, and I'm going to post the rules here on the podcast too. And then we're going to take GoPros on this trip for this purpose. And let me preface this bet with the only time this is coming out. So it'll be one of our bull red trips this summer. Because I'm not going to waste. I don't think this is possible for me to pull this off. If I pull it off, it'll make for a really cool story and probably 200,000 hits on YouTube. Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Maybe.
It would be really cool to watch on YouTube. If I saw somebody catching us on YouTube, I would definitely share it a couple times. But so what I'm going to do is on one of these bull red trips, it's if we get into them and I catch one, I'm good. Challenge on.
Yep.
All right. So I'm looking at the Zebco Bullet, which is to my knowledge, Zebco's most expensive reel.
Yeah.
It's I don't know.
It's their Magnum push button model.
Yeah, it's the size of a grapefruit, a large grapefruit. And what was the drag on these things? Look it up on your phone.
That's a good question. I want to. It comes with a certain amount of line.
Yeah, but we were willing to manipulate that with braid. I think.
When you say we, you mean you.
Well, I'm about to spend $100 on this challenge
to increase your chances here. Maximum drag is 14 pounds. Good luck.
14 pounds. Oh, how much line does it fit on there?
Let's see. It has.
I want to say it was like 120 of like 10-pound mono.
So every turn of the handle is 29 inches back.
Whew, you're screwed, dude. If I hook this thing next to the boat, I'm good to go.
I want to say it comes with 110 yards of line
of like 12-pound mono.
It does come preloaded. Let's see what it says.
You got to throw me a bone here.
So what do you need?
I don't want to. What is it preloaded with? I want to say it's like 12-pound mono.
10 pound, 90 yards.
10 pound, 90 yards. Okay, but you were willing to let me go up to 15-pound braid, right?
Wait a minute. You're going to take all that line off? No. You can put on a sturdy top shot of leader if you like.
Okay, I like this.
But
I like this.
I mean, you're going to have to use what it comes with. That's the whole. I mean, why are we going to doctor it up? You might as well just put on a Penn 6500.
I'm using a push button reel. You're not going to. Okay, I got you.
I can't wait just to watch you cast it. I mean, that's just going to be funny in and of itself.
All right, so we got
it's 10 pounds, 90 yards. So it must be mono.
Yeah, so we got the Zebco Bullet with 10.
Dude, this is a $100 reel.
I know.
It should land it. It has 8+1 ball bearings. That's incredible.
Wow.
All right. I mean, obviously,
if this catches a red, Zebco Bullet review for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, you've got 90. Look, I will chase it down. You know.
Okay. All right. See, that's fair. Yeah. If we're chasing it down, because 90 yards ain't shit with these things.
No.
All right. So we're gonna.
I will give you some leeway in chasing it. I'm not going to go 35 miles an hour. But I mean, you know, we will. You're gonna have to fight a little bit.
The only thing that's gonna ruin this is like Dave casting off. If I hook into it on the Zebco, I can see Dave like using his fly rod to cross me up and
probably.
So yeah, I can't be bothered once I hook into the fish. And
so what's the wager?
I'm gonna leave it up to you, dude, because you're under pressure here. We're on camera.
Oh, the wager. Let's just do $50. $50?
$50. Okay.
I think you want me to wear something. That's what you want. We've already had this conversation, sort of. I've heard the bits and pieces.
Yeah.
You want me to wear a dress or something?
I mean, a sundress would be cool.
I mean, happening.
Like not a revealing one. You're good. It's just a bait hook.
Not a revealing one. That's fun.
Yeah. Like down to your knees. No.
I'll tell you what. If you now
you're going to regret what you're about to say.
Now I'm starting to wonder if I should chase the fish down for you. I will. I'm not wearing a damn sundress. You're out of your mind.
All right. You said I'll tell you what. Then what?
I like the $50. What the hell? I'll tell you what. Get the sundress. if this happens on the first day of your trips, I'll wear the sundress the next day. It better be big enough.
Oh yeah. I'll get a muumuu, dude.
That's great.
No, I'm not calling you fat, but you want to be big enough.
Sure, let's do it.
I would die. Okay,
let's do it. Just remember who's running the boat that day.
There's no way I'm bringing in a red on that ride.
I don't know, man. I mean, you gotta feather it.
Yeah, whatever rod I want, right?
Sure.
You're
gonna have.
It's gonna be the 7-foot lammy.
It's.
I gotta have some kind of backbone there.
Yeah, but it's a.
Is it a combo?
It's a push button, so it's a bait casting rod you need.
You're right.
It can't be I mean, you can do a spin thing, but you won't have like the grip to have the.
Yeah, because it'll be upside down.
Yeah.
I'll figure it out.
Yeah, figure it out.
Yeah.
It's still gonna be a 10-pound line.
Dude,
on
you
a
and a
14-pound
sundress fishing for 2 days. Or you're only gonna do the next day.
One day.
Okay.
Next day.
All right. Now, what happens if I catch it on the 3rd day?
We'll cross that bridge.
Okay.
I'll give you $50.
Okay.
We'll
All right. I like that.
Yeah.
Shoo. No one's gonna throw a single line that first day. It's just gonna be me. Dude, there'd be so much pee on the boat from laughter. It wouldn't even be funny. So, all right, buddy. Well, I appreciate you coming here.
Yeah, man.
Like I said, it means a lot. You're a big influence to me and a lot of guys. And I speak on their behalf, and we all say thank you. I hope this is not the last time you're on the podcast.
No, man, this is fun.
And one more thing before you go. I'm going to have Lisa on here, so you can't say her. If she accepts the offer, remember the ice bucket challenge? You call somebody out.
Yeah,
call somebody out
for
the podcast.
For the podcast,
yeah.
Put me on the spot with that one.
Do it.
Because you're already gonna ask Lisa, right?
I'm gonna ask Lisa.
Yeah.
I knew that one was easy. There's an easy answer here.
There's an easy answer?
Yeah, go. Yeah, just think about it. Anybody.
I'm trying to think who. I'm just trying to think who. I don't. Maybe I'm overthinking it.
You are overthinking it.
Damn, Matt. You want me to say somebody in particular?
I think there was an easy one that I thought you were going to say.
Well, I don't want to do preferential treatment.
No, I know.
You can ask him at some other time. Here's my point in thinking about this. I think this is awesome. I think it is a great vessel to bring people together, educate, have an open communication. I'll tell you who I'll do. I'll give you. I know I mentioned it, but I'll still throw it out there. David Sikorski.
Okay, and he's
the executive director of CCA.
Okay.
For state.
I was thinking him or Dave McCullum.
For State of Maryland.
Dave McCullum was the easy one I thought you had.
I know you're going to ask Dave.
Yeah, but that would have been your easy shout out. So David Sikorski is with CCA.
Yep.
What's CCA stand for?
Coastal Conservation Association.
Okay. And he's on.
He's the executive director for the State of Maryland.
Okay.
So
is he a catch and release dude?
Not necessarily.
No.
Not necessarily. He's the thing for the CCA is it's for the angler.
Okay.
It's not a stance on catch or release or anything. It's for the anglers. It's to maintain accessibility to fish. I admire Dave a great deal because I'm actually shocked he is still in the position he is in because of
it's hostile.
What he has to deal with politically.
David Sikorski.
It's a tough job.
Does he fish too?
He does.
You see him on the water?
I've had him on the boat one time.
Okay.
And I've asked him other times, but he tends to be, he's busy. It's a very demanding position that he has, but
I'm looking into right now. I'm shopping. Like I realize not everyone's going to want to come and hang out in this really cool man cave that I've freaking have slaved over.
People drink beer.
Yeah, people drink
I
beer.
don't, but
people
you know.
drink Crushes, apple juice, whatever.
Orange Crushes,
yeah,
whatever.
Yeah.
with a bendy straw.
Dude,
It's all good.
I almost thought about getting apple juice after the first podcast, just as a joke.
Yeah, whatever.
But no, that's a good recommendation. I my whole thing with this podcast is I'm jealous of the network that you and a lot of other guys have, and I don't think I earned any respect as far as, hey, that dude knows how to fish, because I still have a long way to go, and I know that. But in the same time, I think it's hard to match my passion for fishing.
Isn't that about it?
For sure. And I do have that to offer.
You got in days that I'm like, why?
Exactly.
I mean, I don't even have some of that passion.
I'm the
you
honey
have.
badger.
Some day, honey badger don't give a shit.
Honey badger don't give a shit. So no, but that's what I think I have to offer is a passion, a willingness to talk to anybody.
Yeah.
And get whoever on here. So no, that's a great recommendation. I'll reach out to him for sure and see if he's willing to come on.
Mm-hmm.
Or even that, like I said, I'm mobile. I'm mobile now, baby.
Yeah.
I'll go wherever.
You go where the people want you to go.
Yeah. So all right, buddy. Cheers.
Cheers, buddy.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, man. Thanks.